भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम रामा हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम रामा हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम रामा हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम रामा हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Mataji.
Jai. Thank you, Sharmila Mataji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna Mataji. Pranam. So we welcome Her Grace Purnandi Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Over to you, Mataji. Pranam.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji, for the Kirtan. Let's start with the prayers. Welcoming all for the Shrimad Bhagavatam session today. We're in the Canto 3, Chapter 6, and we're going to see from Shlokas 12 to 17 today. Start with the prayers. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jaya mudiraye nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtake mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripatam aham vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Nena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So chapter 6 is creation of the universal form. Just share that. Okay, so now the purport and shlokas, the purport in the from shlokas 12 to 17 are very small, and then it kind of summarize with, about all the shlokas. So I want devotees to read the shloka and the translation continuously, and then we shall discuss. I see only Ansuya Mataji who has raised her hand, so I will request others also to kindly. Yeah, thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Ansuya Mataji will read Shloka 12 and Shobha Mataji will read the translation. Yes, please go ahead, Mataji.
Yeah. Tasya kirasyam nirbhinnam lokapalo vishatpadham vacha swamshena vaktavyam yaya sau pratipadyate. Thank you, Mataji.
Yes, Shobha Mataji.
Hari Bol.
Dandavat
Pranam Mataji. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation by Yesu Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada. Agni or heat separated from his mouth, and all the directors of material affairs entered into it in their respective positions. By that energy, the living entity expresses himself in words. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam Mataji. Should I read purport?
I will give chance. If there is nobody, I'll come back to you. Yeah, Divya Mataji, can you please read the purport?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The mouth of the gigantic universal form of the Lord is the source of the speaking power. The director of the fire element is the controlling deity or the Adidaiva. The speech is delivered as Adhyatma or bodily functions, and the subject matter of the speeches is material productions or the Adibhuta principle. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, so, just 1 second. I'll share the. Yeah, Suma Mataji can read the shloka. Sudha Mataji will read the translation.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranams. Thank you Mataji. Nirbhinnam talo varuno lokapalo vishadhare jihvaya shena charasam yayasau pratipadyate. Hare Krishna. Thank you Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranams.
Hare Krishna.
Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. When the palace of the gigantic form was separately manifested, Varuna, the director of air in the planetary systems, entered therein, and thus the living entity has the facility to taste everything with his tongue. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Divya Desai Mataji will read shloka 14. Shanti Mataji will read the translation. Yes, please. Divya Desai Mataji, will you read the shloka, please?
Shloka.
Or you want to read the translation, Mataji?
I will read the shloka, Mataji.
Yes,
Nirbhinne ashvinau sulnase visnor avisatam padam grahanenam sena gandasya pratipatir yato bhavet. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Shanti Mataji, translation.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. When the Lord's two nostrils separately manifested themselves, the dual Ashwini Kumaras entered them in their proper positions, and because of this, the living entities can smell the aromas of everything. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah. Prashanti Mataji, you can read the shloka.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam.
Padma Mataji can read the translation. Yes, Mataji.
Nirpinne akshini tvasta lokapalo vishadvibho chakshusham shena rupanam pratipattiryato bhavet. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Padma Mataji, translation. Padma Mataji, would you like to read the translation, please?
Yes, Mataji, I think I unmute.
Oh,
Therefore,
okay.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thereafter, the two eyes of the gigantic form of the Lord were separately manifested. The sun, the director of light, entered them with the partial representation of eyesight, and thus the living entities can have vision of forms. Thank you, Mataji. Dandat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Radhika Mataji can read the shloka 16. Krishnamurti Prabhu can read the translation.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Nirbhinnanyasya charmani lokapalo nilo vishat praninam shena samsparsham yena sau pratipadyate. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Krishnamurti Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Translation by A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupada ki Jai. When there was a manifestation of skin separated from the gigantic form, Anila, the deity directing the wind, entered with partial touch, and thus the living entities can realize tactile knowledge. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Sharmila Mataji can read the shloka.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Karnavasya vinirbinnau dishnyam swam vivishur dishaha shrotrenam shena shabdasya siddhim yena prapadyate. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Sunita Mataji can read the translation.
Mataji. Translation. When the ears of the gigantic form became manifested, all the controlling deities of the directions entered into them with the hearing principles by which all the living entities hear and take advantage of sound.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Shobha Mataji, you want to read the purport, please? Shobha Mataji, are you there? You want to read the purport?
May I read, Mataji?
Yeah, okay. Go ahead, Mataji, please.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The ear is the most important instrument in the body of the living entity. Sound is the most important medium for carrying the message of distant and unknown things. The perfection of all sound and knowledge enters through the ear and makes one's life perfect. The entire Vedic system of knowledge is received by oral reception only, and thus sound is the most important source of knowledge.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, devotees. So now we are we know about the Lord, how the Lord is Sarva Karana Karanam. I mean, He is the source of everything. Now, there is the Lord, there are the demigods or the Devatas and the living entity. Now, in Shloka 11, actually, if you remember, I will just share the Shloka 11. Yeah. Okay. Here it talks about who are the demigods. The demigods, what is the position of them? The only difference between the demigods and the ordinary living entity is that when the living entities are rich in pious acts of devotional service to the Lord, and when their desire to lord it over material nature has vanished, they are promoted to the posts of demigods, who are entrusted by the Lord with executing the management of universal affairs. So it is showing us the power of the demigods as to how powerful they are and how the Lord Himself has entrusted this aspect of giving the benediction to the living entities. They are like the via media. They are in between the living entity and the Lord. And now we saw from Shloka 12 to 17 how the various demigods are responsible for various things. Like we saw how the Agni, is responsible for the speech, the demigod Varuna for the for the palate or the taste of everything, facility, and then how the Ashwini Kumaras, facilitate the hearing. Now, what is the import for us in all these shlokas, or what is it that we have to understand? Now, we have heard, we have listened, we have read umpteen times about how the Lord is the ultimate decider or the ultimate sanctioner, whatever we want to call it, how he is the controller, right? So now these shlokas, or in fact this whole chapter, is giving us an insight of how we are not the controllers, right? And now why does this aspect become important, that we are not the controllers? Because being in this material world for so long, and in contact with the Jadavastu or the material nature, the very fact that we are here, that is leaving the association of the Lord and we are here, is that we wanted to be the controllers. Now, in fact, even the demigods themselves are not controllers, though they are controllers in a very small portion. They themselves are not controllers. They are controlled by the supreme controller, the Paramatma. So that is why what we have to understand is, now I am speaking, right? You are hearing. Now, both the aspect is happening because there is a sanction of the Lord through their respective demigods, who are facilitating this aspect of me trying to speak and you trying to hear. So what is the import of this? The import of it is that I have to understand my position, or we have to understand our position, that how minuscule we are, how totally dependent we are on the Lord, and how the Lord is giving the various facilities for us to do the various things. If I have to even lift my hand, or if I have to speak, if I have to understand, if I have to see, if I have to taste, everything is coming from the Lord through various means, through demigods, or it can be through his energies. That is how, if we take the shloka of Bhagavad Gita 7.19, it says Bahunam Janmanam Ante Gnanavan Mam Prapadyante. What happens after Bahunam Janmanam Ante? After many, many births, you get this Gnana. What is the Gnana you get? Vasudevam Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Everything, there is nothing beyond the Lord. Now, if we think, all this while we were saying, okay, this is the Jada Vastu, this is the material, we have to not, being in touch with material, then we forget Krishna. But then now we are coming to the next level of understanding in Shrimad Bhagavatam, that there is absolutely nothing that is away from the Lord. Vasudevam Sarvamiti, it says. Everything is Vasudeva. So now here, this is the proof, like how in the Virata Purusha, when the mouth was manifested, and then that particular demigod was there, and then that when that demigod, through that demigod, it facilitated that particular action or the sense organ for the living entities, right? That is why Krishna says Sa Mahatma Su Durlabha. It is very rare you find such kind of souls where they understand that nothing beyond the Lord. Like we must have heard, not a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Lord, right? How why I'm saying this is, there are many times when we see the things that are happening around, especially when there is a negative aspect. It goes to extreme negative aspect of abuse of people, or violence, or wars, and that happening. Then we may wonder, is this also sanctioned by the Lord? Actually, nothing is beyond the Lord's sanction. If that is there, then there are several quotes of Srila Prabhupada, where Srila Prabhupada says, when the impious acts increases, when the sins increase, then Lord creates such a situation for people to come to their senses. Now, just the best example was very recent COVID times. We found people more humbled, people being more inclined towards Adhyatma, or towards the Lord, understanding how minuscule. But now, once that is over, now when things are normal, then we are also, we become abnormal, because the normal is to understand our minuscule position in this, in front of the Lord. So that is why, if we understand in that perspective, whatever is happening, in case, if we say there's so much of, for example, cow slaughter or animal slaughter that is happening, that means there is something lacking from our side. What is lacking from our side? Our side, I mean devotee side. We are not probably preaching enough. We are not making people enough to be aware of that they are not to get into this simple activity. Now, if what happens, okay, I am not doing it. Okay, we have come the first step. I have saved myself. Good. Yes, that is the first step. In the aeroplane, they say, when the oxygen mask comes down, first you put the oxygen mask to yourself before you help others. Very good. That is the first step. I have come to, at least I have chosen the path and I'm trying to tread the path. So the next step is like, is it enough if I am saved? You know, if you think about Srila Prabhupada, how many of us are related, blood related to Srila Prabhupada here, right? None of us. But even if Srila Prabhupada had thought, okay, I will stick to myself or just my relatives, then none of us would be here, right? So, and Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita in the 18th chapter, 68, 69, you can check. He says, there is nobody more dear to me than one who is preaching about me, Krishna says. So it's a powerful statement, right? He's saying that person who teaches about me to others is very, very dear to me. So we connect these shlokas to the Bhagavad Gita shlokas, right? How do we connect that? Krishna is the supreme sanctioner. He is allowing everything to happen, and if something is, if we can understand that whatever negative or whatever something should not be happening, that means Krishna is giving us the message. He's giving us devotees the message that we have to go beyond our comfort zone, right? Or we have to increase our sadhana. We have to reach to the level that is expected and then move to the next step. Like we have plans, for everything. I mean, if we have a 2-bedroom flat, then we would want to move into a 4-bedroom flat. Then otherwise, if we are in office in a managerial position, then the next position, next level. Then why not for the Lord, which is ultimately what we need, right? So all these shlokas are talking about the demigods, the demigods who are powerful, though powerful controllers, are under the control of the Lord. When the demigods themselves are under the control of the Lord, then definitely we are also under the control of the Lord, right? So every moment, every step that we are treading, it can be for the sake of the body or for the sake of our soul. Okay, we should have a measure. Did I better myself in both aspects compared to yesterday? Okay, so am I able to surrender myself a little more than that I was doing it yesterday, right? So and then also another aspect of the demigods that I have heard from the acharyas, the demigods, if you see the karma kanda section, what is the karma kanda section? I do this puja, like especially when there are testing times, it's a habit to go to the astrologer, and then they invariably give solutions through the demigods, right? Do this puja, do this homa, and then whatever you're going through will go away. But actually, even the astrologer knows it will not go away. It will only kind of, bring our mind to one level to accept it in a more palatable way, if I have to say. But so there is some amount of sanctioning by the demigods for the aspect of even in the karma kanda section. I mean, that is how, the Vedas are. You doing dharma only for artha. What is artha? To either gain money or to gain health or to gain, make my surrounding conducive, to think it is conducive for me, right? So the acharyas say the devatas or the demigods are very pained when people go and ask them, give me this danam dehi, dehi. But they are very extremely happy when the demigods, we go and we pray to them and saying, please give me bhakti in Krishna. give me love for Godhead, right? This is, I've heard this from various devotees, acharyas, saying that the demigods also, though they don't want to sanction something which is not in the purview of that particular soul in that particular janma, but then they are obliged to, unwillingly obliged to do it, right? So the devatas also, are always meditating on the Lord to, meditating on the Lord to elevate themselves from this position of being a devata to, because we know, even being a devata, then after they finish their pious activities, they have to come back and then again do devotional service and go back. And in fact, Srila Prabhupada says the devatas in the Swargaloka, the allurements are so high that it is even more difficult than in the material world, in the earth, to concentrate on the Lord. And we have seen umpteen examples, like how Indra gets bewildered, how Brahma gets bewildered, how Lord Shiva gets bewildered. So they are controllers in one sense, in a small way, but then they are controlled completely by the Lord. And then now the next point is, all these facilities Krishna has given us, right? He has given us. And then, so what are we supposed to do with all these facilities? Now it's like, I say I'm staying in a rented house. Okay. If I'm staying in a rented house, and then I don't try to give the rent to the owner. And then I try to say, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay here. I'm not going to give you any rent because this is my house. If I say that, what will be the reaction of the owner? What will be the reaction of the owner?
He will throw us out, ma'am.
He throws out, right? So now you see, in the material world, the owner will throw us out. Now, who is the owner of this world?
Supreme
Krishna. Supreme. So, and then who is the owner of our body?
Krishna.
So who is the owner of our senses? Who is the owner of our tongue?
Demigods.
Who is the owner of?
No, for everything Sri Krishna is the owner.
Everything Krishna is owner. But then now you see, but what am I doing with my body, my senses, my tongue, my hearing, my seeing, my smelling? What am I doing? I'm eating what I like.
Yes.
I'm hearing what I like. Yes. I'm smelling what I like. So what Suma Mataji said is, the owner will throw us out. Now you see the difference, how merciful the Lord is. He did not throw us out. In fact, it is unimaginable mercy, inconceivable, unimaginable, causeless mercy, that He gives us Bhagavatam, He gives us devotees, He gives us sadhana, and then He gives us the buddhi also. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam. What buddhi He gives? He says, okay, you wanted all this, you have tasted all this, and you have realized that there is no point in trying to satisfy your senses. Aham mameti, it can be mine or my extended, immediate extended ones. And there is no end to it because there is no question of satisfaction. Why there is no question of satisfaction? Because the owner is not satisfied, right? You satisfy the owner, you put the water the root, you water the root, and then what happens? Without you realizing, you are satisfied. See, samsiddhi haritoshnam or jagat tushti, when it is not just no, see, on the smaller sense, we are trying to satisfy immediate our friends, colleagues, relatives. Okay, you see the larger picture. If Krishna is satisfied, the whole universe, everybody is satisfied. So what is more intelligent? I mean, what is more satisfying? Why do we feel that satisfaction when we are doing devotional service? Why is it more satisfying than, we ourselves individually being satisfied? I'm very sure all of us have this experience that even within Krishna consciousness or even otherwise, even before we came to Krishna consciousness, when we helped somebody without expecting anything, or when somebody was really in need, when we helped, did we feel more happy or less happy than satisfying myself, my individual self?
More happy.
More happy, ma'am.
Definitely more happy, right? So you see, one individual we are talking about. Then imagine if the whole universe is happy, how much more happy I will feel, right? So that Rishikesha, somebody said, right? Rishika Isha. Isha is the controller. Rishi is the senses. He is the controller of the senses. He is the owner of the senses. He is given. And then the other aspect, if we think we are doing so much service, devotional service, in case we think we are doing so, you see, there is nothing that we can beat Krishna with, right? Because he is the absolute. He is absolute. Now, if for a moment you think, what is the service we are taking from Krishna? He has given us wear, he's given us water, he's given us our basic facilities. Can we do any more service than, can we do more devotional service to Krishna than the service we are taking from him? Can we?
No, Mataji.
No.
So you see, in spite of all that, he accepts. You see his magnanimity, you see his mercy. He is so powerful. Invariably, what happens if we are powerful? Okay, in the material world, we are powerful. The tendency is to exploit, right? But you see Krishna, you see Krishna's pure devotees. They are most powerful, right? But then there is never an iota of exploitation from them. In fact, they are always merciful. They are always thinking, how can I reach out to the soul through, whatever, kena prakarena, it says, somehow or the other, how can I bring that soul towards me? It can be, for some, it can be through difficulties, for some, it can be through giving them more facilities, whatever way. The only thing Krishna wants us to come towards him. So all these shlokas are driving home the point that, if I am able to see, it is because that demigod Surya Deva is giving us that facility, and Surya Deva himself is getting that power from Krishna. If I'm able to taste, it is because of some demigod. If I'm able to move, it is because of the demigod. If I'm able to breathe, it is because of the Vayu. Everything is because of demigod. So, what should Shrimad Bhagavatam make us understand, or what is the point that we have to come to is that how totally dependent we are, how we are not independent or swarat. The word swarat or independent is only applied to Krishna and nobody else, because we are so dependent for everything. That is one aspect. The next aspect we have to kind of understand and tread in our life. It can be material or spiritual life, that if anything is happening, that means Krishna's sanction is there. And if Krishna's sanction is there, what is my perspective? That I have to accept it. I accept it and do my duties. Again, in two kinds of duties, Krishna says. One, towards the Deha, that is the body, till it is there, and towards the Atma. Do our duties or sadhana, whatever you want to call, okay, without a break, irrespective of the situations that we go through. And how should we do it? Now, this shloka of Shrimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, shloka 14, chapter 8, very beautifully says, Tattenu kampam susamikshamaano bhunjana evatmakratam vipakam Krutvakvapubher vidadam namaste jivete yo muktipade sadayava. My dear Lord, one who constantly waits for your causeless mercy to be bestowed upon him and goes on suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds, offering you respectful obeisances from the core of his heart, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. It has become.
Can you repeat the number again, Mataji? 10, 8?
10, 14, 8.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, 10, 14, 8. So now, be wondering, how is this connected with the shlokas that we read just now? How is it connected with creation? How is it connected means that whatever we go through, if people around us are able to understand a bit, and then there can be times when we think, oh, does Krishna know I'm going through all this? That doubt can come, right? But then if living entities are able to understand, then how can we get a doubt that the Supreme Lord is not able to understand? Who is the Supreme, who is the controller of everything, who is the master of everything, right? So how do we how do we get the understanding for all this? So the last shloka, the 17, not last shloka for today, the 17th shloka talks about Shravanam, when the years of the gigantic form become manifested, all the controlling duties of the direction entered into them with the hearing principles, by which all the living entities hear and take advantage of sound. The only most powerful way to wake up a person is through sound, right? So Shravanam, which we all have been doing, what is it doing? Srila Prabhupada says, don't see Krishna through your eyes, see him through your ears. So what does Shravanam do? It goes into our ears. Like, this example was given. How many of us here have personally seen or spoken to, say, any famous personality, say Narayan Murthy? How many of us have seen or spoken to him? Any of us on board who are there? Have we? Have any of us spoken to him, or have we interacted with him? Is there anybody?
We speak when we pray, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, myself.
Oh, okay. There is somebody. Okay, fine. Okay, then I'll take another example. I will say take Bill Gates, right? Bill Gates is also a very known person. How many of us have interacted directly with him? Have any of us interacted directly with him?
No, Mataji.
No. But then,
whom you are saying?
Bill Gates.
Yes, Mataji, my son.
You have met him, huh?
He's in my Microsoft, in America, Seattle.
Have you interacted with him directly?
My son.
Son, I'm asking you, have you?
Not me, Mataji.
Okay. But then the moment we get Bill Gates, see, so many things came. She said Microsoft, he's the richest person. How did we know all this? By hearing. People went on talking, or we read it in the media. This about Bill Gates, he's such this thing, he owns so much.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, I have interacted with not materially rich persons and all. I have interacted with spiritual.
No, I was just taking this as an example.
Okay.
I was taking this as an example. So now, we remember so many things, though we have not interacted with any of these more known famous personalities, right? So the same way, I was just taking it as an analogy. Same way, how do we know about Krishna? How do we start knowing more and
By
more
hearing
about Krishna?
Mataji,
Hearing.
the scriptures.
So hearing becomes so important. It is said, when we hear, we learn more, because when we speak, we can speak what we know, but when we hear something more. That is how the same subject or the same thing, when you keep hearing, one thing is you know about the person more and more, and you keep understanding more and more. And then about Krishna, him being the absolute and asama urdhava, who can talk about him? Who can explain about him? He only has to explain. So that is why he gave Bhagavad Gita, he gave Shrimad Bhagavatam, of course Bhagavatam also he only gave. So Shravanam becomes so important. Even if we are not able to speak, see, or we are not able to use our hands and legs, especially in the adhyatma, in the spiritual aspect, Shravanam becomes so important, because only through that Shravanam we are able to hear more and more about Krishna and understand about Krishna. And hearing more and more about him, then what happens? We are manana happens. I mean, we start contemplating, start thinking. Like you will try to connect what was spoken yesterday about the creation of the universal form, what is being discussed today, and then how do you connect, and then how Krishna is the supreme, and then how I should, take this forward in my personal life, in trying to surrender to Vaishnavas, in trying to surrender to Krishna, right? So hearing is most important instrument. Srila Prabhupada also says the ear is the most important instrument in the body of living entity, and sound is the most important because it awakens us from our deep sleep. It can be the physical or it can be the spiritual. Spiritually, we are sleeping, then the Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is what is mainly spoken in these verses. They're saying this demigod is responsible for that, that demigod is responsible for this. Okay, but what is, as a devotee, what is it? Yes, first is jnana. Yes, it is the knowledge that we are gaining, but from that knowledge we have to go the next step, that to understand that I am the controlled in all aspects, in all respects. I am controlled. Even blinking of the eye is controlled by various demigods. Okay, now before I finish, I will read the 2 lines of the purport of this chapter 6, first shloka. Okay, he says in the purport, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Prabhupada says, but unless they are, which are, it starts with, there is nothing wanting in the creation of the Lord. All the potencies are there in dormant state. But unless they are combined by the will of the Lord, nothing can progress. The suspended progressive work of creation can only be revived by the direction of the Lord. Okay, so there is this, if we are in this mode of being very scientific, or we want to understand, it says the suspended progressive work of creation can only be revived. That's why you see they do research. There is nothing to search. What is already there, they are only researching it, right? So Govinda Madipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Sarva Karana Karanam. So such a Govinda I offer my obeisances. Why we should be Krishna conscious, why we should try to make others Krishna conscious, and what does Krishna conscious do? Brings us to our constitutional position of being the Jivere Swarupohoy Nityere Krishna Das, right? So all these shlokas are either in Bhagavatam, Brahma Samhita, Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, Ishopanishad, any of the scriptures, what should it do? It should bring us to the point that Krishna is the Supreme, which Srila Prabhupada has very wonderfully done in all his purports. Because again, the question can arise. Prabhupada says Krishna is the Supreme, devotional service, and how is it? How can we understand all this? You know, in the 10th shloka of this chapter, it says in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, the Lord is therefore described in the Vedic language as Avan Manasa Gocharaha, beyond the conception of words and mind. Beyond the conception, words and mind means what? If I have to understand Krishna, if I have to talk about Krishna, again I have to get his sanction. Now, how do I get sanction of anybody? If I have to get a sanction of constructing a house, I have to please somebody. How do I please? By following rules or whatever. So how do I please Krishna? By following his instructions, right? So what are his instructions? Chant, do devotional service, offer, do charity, serve Vaishnavas, have Jivadaya, have Namaruchi, try to chant offenselessly, right? So these are the instructions of the Lord through various devotees. Okay. So with that, I would like to stop the class. If any of you want to share anything or ask, please go ahead. It is indeed a more purification for me. I thank all you devotees for giving me this opportunity, starting from Ashish Prabhu and the whole ICF, because this is a purification process for myself individually, doing this aspect of trying to do a class, which definitely I don't deserve. It is only a service to my Guru Maharaj, and a lot of shortcomings. I request prayers from all of you so that I can do much better service to my to the Guru Parampara. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Yes,
I have a question, Mataji. Can I ask you?
Yes, Padma Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mata, Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
I'm wondering whether these demigods, because I heard the lecture, do these demigods also have to, like, they have to take a human birth to go back to Godhead?
Yeah. I mean, like, yes. See, you reach, they, because of their pious activities, okay, they are demigods. Once their pious activities are over, or living entities who are reaching to the Swargaloka. I mean, I have heard about living entities who reach to go to Swargaloka, have done a lot of pious work, and once the pious work is over, they fall down. They come back to this thing. Okay. About the Devatas, they themselves are elevated devotees of the Lord. Okay, and then they have been given these administrative work because because of their piety and because of their devotion to Krishna. Now, whether demigods, see now, okay, I will narrate one story about Indra, which are my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj says, Indra, once, Indra, he comes down, and then he is born, for some reason, he is born as a pig, right?
Pig, I know this story.
You know the story, right?
Yeah.
So, and then, he gets so bewildered, and then Brahma had to come and remind him that you are
come back
because you are Indra, not this pig, right? So there are chances, because still, they are living entities, right, that they can fall down, but then definitely they will have a better chances, or more mercy, because they are being more devoted to Krishna. But then I think I will re-clarify on this, whether they are going to go back to Godhead after their tenure as demigods, or they are going to, I think that's a good question which had not occurred to me. It's a clarification for me.
Hare Krishna,
different,
Mataji.
different.
Can I add to this, Radhika here, if that's okay with you?
Yes, Mataji. Padma Mataji is saying something.
Sorry, I didn't hear
Let
that.
her complete.
Yeah,
then
sure.
Definitely. Yes, Padma Mataji.
No, because Mataji, we hear different inputs on this subject. So I just want to have a clear picture. That's why.
Okay.
So Radhika Mataji can speak. It's okay.
Yes, Mataji. Radhika
Thank you,
Mataji,
Mataji.
please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Sorry, I did not hear you, Padma Mataji. Please forgive me.
No, it's okay, Mataji. It's okay, no problem.
Yeah.
So Mataji, actually, what Mataji was telling is right. So the point is, after the punya karma from the heaven, we will come back to earth. The two reasons are, there is no rule that from Devaloka we cannot go to Goloka, but the enjoyment in Devaloka is so high. So the tendency to forget Krishna is more. So they feel if the person is born in Bharat Varsh, it's very blessed. It's like a blessing because we will have a chance to interact. But in Devaloka, even though they are devotees more exalted than us, the chance of falling and engaging in material sense gratification is higher. So chance of falling is also higher. But however, the possibility to go from Swarga to Goloka is also there. So that, but it becomes remote. So this is what I've heard from senior Vaishnavas when I had this doubt, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yeah, and also, yeah, one second. Also, it is said, we are scared of Kali Yuga, but then the demigods are very happy because in Kali Yuga it is easier because the easiest way is only to chant. I mean, the only process to go back to Godhead is. So there are instances where I have heard that they would also, human birth and in Kali Yuga, because they can chant and especially when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself has come, right? And he has given this causeless mercy more to everybody and anybody. So they do want to come here to take that mercy of the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. Yeah, this also I have. Thank you, Radhika Mataji, for reminding me of that aspect. Yes. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Radhika Mataji, for the input. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, yes, Prabhu.
There is another view of looking at it.
Okay.
Those human beings who have attained a state where they don't forget God at all and constantly think of Him, they will be taking, they will become demigods.
Okay.
Then that will sustain. No, how is the question of again forgetting and coming down?
Because Prabhu, this, if on the earth platform, okay, they say there is one family, everything is perfect for them, right? They have nice children, they have money, they have health, everything. So that enjoyment, if you take it as give it a number 1, right? In Swargaloka, it is 100. I mean, I'm just giving you what to say, an analogy kind of thing. So the tendency of when you have everything nicely, okay, the tendency of forgetting Krishna is very high. Here in the earth itself, even though we have so many shortcomings, so many problems, but still we have the tendency to forget Krishna. And then it increases as you go to the higher planets, it increases. So when the enjoyment or the allurements are higher, forgetting also becomes higher. The tendency to forget is also higher.
Nalakuvera Manigriva example.
Nalakuvera, Indra himself. Indra is the best
Indra
example.
himself.
Indra is the best example. He himself, he always forgets Krishna. That's how he, gets into all these kinds of, like when the Brihaspati gave him the garland, he put it on Gajendra. I mean, on the, not Gajendra. What is his Airavata? Airavata, and then he was so proud about it. Why should I take that? And then he was. That's why they keep running, to the Kshirodasaka Sai Vishnu. They keep running there, and then they keep praying. Lord, please help us, help us. This happened, that happened. Why do they keep going there and praying? Because they forget. the chances for forgetting is more. Prabhu. Subbarao Prabhu.
Brahmaji also has to come back.
In Vidura also, as Yamaraj, since he was performing his duty, he was saying that I cannot worship you properly. So please give me a chance so that I can worship you. That's how
he comes as Vidura.
Yes, God, Lord has arranged that curse drama, and that's how he is descended as Vidura.
Yes.
So that's also there in this instance, Mataji.
Correct.
And also, Brahmaji also in his Brahma Vimohan Leela, he is saying, I want to repent for the mistake which I have done. So that's how Lord is giving the chance for him in his in this Kali Yuga, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming.
Haridas. Yes.
So that's how the demigods also wish that they want to perform devotion service here in this material world rather than in the spiritual, means like the heavenly planets. So there they have this somaras and all those stuff which is more enjoyable. There they cannot remember the Lord.
Correct, Mataji. Very true. Padma Mataji, about Brahma, whoever is in the Brahma Loka, he said from there they go back to Godhead. But only the lifespan is so long.
So long, yes.
311. And then also, when my Prabhu was saying, imagine working without a Sunday. That is how Brahma works. So definitely, I don't know, at least the devotees would not want something in between them and Krishna, is what Srila Prabhupada has always says. Why go into Brahma Bhuvana Loke Punaravartin Arjuna? Krishna says from Brahma Loka also you can come down. Mam upetya tu kaunteva punarjanmana vidyate. Only if you come to my Loka. From there also you can come. Krishna is saying. Right? But as such, so we have to.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna.
Anita Mataji, for so much. What verses covered today, please? Subbarao Prabhu from 3.6.12-17. Shlokas 12 to Shlokas 17. Yes. Suma Mataji wanted to say something.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji. It was a wonderful class. The takeaway point for me is that whenever the negative things happen in life after coming to Krishna consciousness, we must increase our endeavor to serve the Lord and take the shelter of Lord more. But my question is that, Mataji, like those who come to Krishna consciousness, they face a lot of problems, but it is okay to a point, because we are all humans, because we cannot take up, like when the Lord takes up the intelligence and memory and everything, like when a devotee is after coming to Krishna consciousness, if he goes to a coma stage or something like that, so how can we understand that, Mataji, as we say that Lord is very merciful, he protects. So because that is the only chance to remember the Lord at the time of death and go back to Godhead. So that chance is also taken. So how can we take this, Mataji?
To first aspect you are talking about negative. Actually, once when we come to Krishna consciousness, actually there is nothing negative. Right? That shloka which I said, Tattenu compounds, will you please read it, 10.14.8. Try to read the shloka and translation. See, it is not negative. It's like, this example was given. I was reading some article from by His Grace Chaitanya Charan Das. He's saying parent is giving the child money. And with the money of the child is going and buying drugs. Say, for example, what will the mother do?
She will not allow Mata.
Send him to rehab.
No. First, that is all secondary. First step, what
she will not give the money.
She will not give the money. So what will the child think? That the mother is cruel, right?
Yes.
Now, if we think the negative situations, so-called negative situations we are facing is not warranted for because I'm trying to be a devotee, that means I'm doubting Krishna. There is some message in which he is putting us in that situation. There is some correction that has to happen for me, which I am not being able to correct myself in the positive situation, so-called positive situation. You see this one Acharya from the Madhva Sampradaya, very beautifully he said, even whatever, because of our pious activities, we may get riches, we may get beauty, we may get intelligence, we may get fame and all that. Krishna, of course, sanctions this, yes, because of it. But then he also checks what are we doing with those facilities. Now, in case we are degrading ourselves with those facilities, then as a very compassionate mother or a parent, he takes it away, which looks like a cruelty from our perspective, negative from our perspective. But if you see it from the top view, or a view from Krishna, right? He is trying to protect the devotee from not falling away more, away from him, away from his sadhana, away from his devotional service. So actually a devotee never thinks anything is negative. He only understands it is the mercy of the Lord to bring that devotee towards himself. That was one aspect. The coma aspect, we are assuming that devotee who is in coma is not remembering Krishna. We are assuming that. How do we know he or she is not remembering Krishna? Krishna may still be giving that remembrance to the devotee in whatever state. Right?
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah.
But whenever the difficulty comes, after so many days have passed, so we are able to realize that it was for our purification. But during that time, we don't gain that strength, Mataji, to face so we will show our all emotions, negative emotions and everything.
That is why it helps us to keep Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Why should we do Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya? Now say suppose I'm giving an example which I practice. Now I start disliking somebody. Then I try to remember Adveshta Sarva Bhutana. Maitra Karuna Evacha. Such a devotee is very dear to me, Krishna says. Adveshta Sarva Bhutana. Krishna is saying, don't dislike anybody. Right? Or he says, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kankshati. I'm not liking somebody because I want something. And I did not get it the way I want, so I'm disliking that person. So then, na sochati na kankshati. Such a devotee is dear to me. Who? Somebody who doesn't hanker nor laments. Right? So these things help. Memorizing shlokas rather than to say I memorize the shlokas. These shlokas should help us to remember that Krishna is saying Sammoham Sarva Bhuteshu. I am equal to everybody. I may dislike what that person is doing, but Krishna is being equal to him. He is being only an instrument. I must have done something to him, so he is acting like that to me. He is only an instrument. Rather than disliking that person, I should start disliking myself because I did that forgetting Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Practically, implication should be there everywhere. Yes,
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Mataji, about that coma thing, what she said, Suma Mataji, even if you're in coma, your consciousness is there, no? You can speak, you can't do anything, but your consciousness.
See, coma. We are the external. I don't know in so much detail. What all I can say is that if in the coma stage also, Krishna wants to give the remembrance, he can give that person the remembrance. His remembrance only.
Yes, Mataji, what I've heard was that's true. But even in coma, he can't speak, he can't move. But what we speak, he can hear. The person can hear.
So if we can speak, he can hear what we are speaking. Then it is good. No, put the dhun there. If there is a
no, he can't speak. Only he can hear, Mataji.
That's enough. No,
Yeah, that's
Antakalete
enough.
mameva smaran mukva kaleva.
Yes.
He has to remember of Krishna at that time.
Yes.
That is enough.
Thank you, Mataji. Nice discussion.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Mataji, a silly question just came to my mind. When we speak about Brahmaji, is it just a single person? I mean, the Brahma Loka, Swarga Loka, Bhuvar Loka, we know Bhuvar Loka, a lot of living entity, Manushya, Savar Loka, so many demigods. Likewise, in the Brahma Loka, when we talk about only Brahmaji.
No.
So, I mean, what are the living entities there in the Brahma Loka, Mataji?
It is said, mostly all these Siddha, all the yogis who go there, at the end of the Brahma Ayu, that is 100 years of Brahma, all of them go back. Go back to Godhead, is what I have heard and read in the scriptures. Where I'm not able to exactly say. They all go back. That is what it says. Whoever reaches the Brahma Loka. Because reaching the Brahma Loka, you have to qualify to reach Brahma Loka also. Okay.
So, I mean, if they reach to the Brahma Loka, what they are called? They are called Brahma, or they are called Yogi, or I mean, how we will identify?
Yogis only. The yogis they are called. Everybody is not called Brahma. There is only one Brahma for each Brahmanda. They are not called yogis. I mean, they are not called Brahmas.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat Pranams. Very enlightening class, Mataji. The last example, especially what Suma Mataji asked, also related to me, because I had a very bad day early in the morning today. And I was not even going to log into SBM class. And Narayana Mataji messaged me saying that, Mataji, I need to leave, so please force the session. So I was like compelled to come to the SBM class. And I'm really thankful that only because of this SBM class, we are all going. Because otherwise Maya would have pulled us long back.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna,
If
Mataji.
all the devotees have...
Hare Krishna, Mataji, I have one doubt. Can I ask?
Yes,
Okay,
Mataji, please.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, you said to reach Brahmaloka, they should have some qualification, right, Mataji?
Yes.
So when we talk about Revati Mataji, wife of Balrama, so they say that his father and she went to Brahmaloka to search for the best person whom she can marry. So they were born as humans, Mataji, but what was the qualification? How could they go there, Mataji? So if they have that qualification, why were they born as humans?
Yeah, see, they are all different. I mean, like that king and then Devati, as they are all concerts of the Lord. I mean, or even Balram, no, it is all a leela for them. They don't have to qualify. I mean, it is see, it's like people ask, can we offer anything to Krishna on Ekadashis? I mean, grain. See, it is not eating grain is for us because we have the anarthas, we have the karmas to burn. You are understanding what I'm trying to relate. See, all these qualifications and rules and regulations is for us, living entities, not for the eternal concepts of the Lord or the Lord and his expansions. In fact, Narada Muni himself, he gives that benediction. You can go anywhere, any loka, anytime. Being a pure devotee. That's the benediction he gets, Narada Muni himself gets. Now you are talking about the concept of the Lord. I mean, Balram.
Yes, Mataji. Okay, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, devotees. Thank you for a lot of enlightening for me too during the discussion and a lot of takeaway. So we can close the class here with the Vaishnava.
Yes, Mataji, if all the doubts are clarified, no more doubts, we can do Vaishnava Pranam and end the session, Mataji. Mancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you, Mataji, for yet another wonderful
Thank you,
session.
Mataji. Wonderful
Thank you so
class.
much, Mataji.
Thank
Thank you, Mataji.
And more pranams to all.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Shall I end the session, Mataji, with your permission? Hare Krishna, Mataji.